How you doing? It's Sandesh here, and I made to do a video on an article on spikedonline.com, and it's called "How Tulsi and RFK Jr. Can Revitalize Trump's campaign." Americans want a truly anti-establishment leader, not a ruder version of Mitt Romney. No, there's something wrong with that headline. He's not a Trump's not a ruder version of Mitt Romney. If anything, he's probably one of the few Republicans that are actually likable. There's a video going around. I think on one of his recent rallies, and where I think there was a auto worker, and I think he was part of a union. I'm not sure. Please correct me if I'm wrong. And the thing is, he allowed him, and he allowed him and he allowed him to speak. Trump did. Trump, uh, Trump, Trump did that for this guy. This is just one of the many reasons why Americans are voting for Trump a lot more. And the thing is, I will say it now, I'm obviously not American, and I don't live in America, but you know what? I like Trump. And the thing is, even though he, even though I consider him part of the establishment because of how much he's worth, but the thing is, he kind of isn't part of the establishment because the thing is, they don't like the fact that he was pretty much the face of politics. Anyway, sorry about rambling on. Before I get into the article, if you could follow me on X and subscribe on YouTube, Rumble, Odyssey, TikTok, and BitChute as well, if you don't mind, please. I'm going to get into the article now. Donald Trump's decision to add Kennedy um, Sion, I think that's what it says. Sorry about that. Robert F. Kennedy Jr. and former Democrat Congresswoman Tulsi Gabbard to his presidential transition team can be read as an attempt by the Republican presidential candidate to re-establish himself as the candidate of the anti-establishment voter. There can be no doubt in anyone's mind that this was Trump's role in 2016. One count that year found that former Secretary of State Hillary Clinton had nabbed the endorsements of 57 newspaper editorial boards, while Trump won just two, from major media to senior national security operatives to some of the wealthiest people in the country. The opposition to Trump that year was a sort of a who's who of the US elite. Yeah, like I said, they didn't like how honest Trump was, and they didn't like the fact that he was going to potentially be the face of politics, which he ended up being. But the thing is, um, what the thing I thought that should have been treated as an event worldwide and treated as very importantly was when he agreed to have a one of a kind meeting with King Jong Il. I think his name is, or King Jong Un, the North Korean leader. That was never done before, and they had a sat down and talked. I forgot what it was. I forgot what it was about. But the thing is, I honestly think that was a seriously important event in our in modern times, and as usual, the mainstream media just treated it as if it was a nothing burger. It was like completely idiotic and stupid. This allowed Trump to portray himself as a populist figure who aroused the ire um, of the social, economic, and political elite. His final ad of the 2016 cycle featured a narration where he said, "Our movement is about replacing a failed and corrupt political establishment with a new government controlled by you, the American people." Yeah, he's definitely right there. A failed and corrupt political establishment, which is what the current Democratic Party is. After a term in the White House, Trump has struggled to reclaim that populist lane. I doubt he clearly hasn't really struggled, especially on the fact that he's gaining more and more voters. I disagree with that part. Kamala Harris' rapid ascendancy to the Democratic nomination has been accompanied with much more favourable polling for her party. No, completely disagree with that again. No, and maybe it's not a surprise. I don't know what the hell this article's talking about because no, if anything, she's just making herself more popular. And she even did a recent interview. I think it was on CNN, and the thing is, the consensus was it was like, is she drunk or something? Maybe she is drunk, and if she is drunk, and then you know what, that kind of would explain a lot of her behavior. It really was, and that pretty much does explain a lot of the fact that she drinks, and she's pretty much stupid as well. Many Americans didn't want to see a rematch between Trump and President Joe Biden. Compared with these aging candidates, Harris is the fresh face on the scene. I wouldn't really say she's a fresh face on the scene. I mean, she's just as much of a disaster than not Trump's, excuse me, than Biden. Biden and Harris are both disasters. Both of them are. I mean, just because she's younger than Biden, I mean that makes her a fresh face, and she hasn't been president. No way. Completely disagree with that. But that's not all that's preventing Trump from waving the populist banner in this election. His campaign themes have devolved into those utilized by previous establishment Republicans. Living in the swing state of Georgia, I'm bombarded with Trump campaign ads telling me that Harris has failed to secure the border and is soft on immigration crime. I mean, immigrant crime. That is true. That's all 100% true. Just because there's a campaign ads telling you that Harris has failed to secure the border, and doesn't mean to say it's not true. More recently, Trump has turned to calling Harris a communist after she said she wanted to combat price gouging in the food industry. It wouldn't surprise me if she is a communist. And little to nothing, Trump's campaign has said in the past few weeks will be out of place in a Mitt Romney or John McCain commercial. Yet the elevation of RFK Jr. and Gabbard into Trump's campaign may play a role in changing that. Both figures spent their lives in the Democratic Party, often positioning themselves in insurgent roles where they staked out contrarian positions. Chief among those positions is opposition to America's long involvement in war overseas. During his first event with Trump, RFK Jr. made his opposition to continued American support for the war in Ukraine a cornerstone of his address. That was a major mistake for RFK Jr. For his of his continued support for the war in Ukraine. He knows Americans don't want the Israeli Hamas war to carry on, and they don't want the Ukraine war to continue either. So, Who the hell was this going to be for? So I don't know why RFK Jr. chose to do that. Um, and don't you want a president who's going to get us out of the wars and who's going to rebuild the middle class in this country? He asked the cheering audience. Gabbard herself, a military veteran, offered her support to Trump based on these themes at an event where she appeared alongside Trump at the National Guard Association of the United States. She pointed to his record as president. President Trump understands the grave responsibility that a president, commander in chief, bears for every one of our lives. Whenever you're a soldier, you're an airman, marine, sailor, or Colsty, he keeps us in his heart in the decisions that he makes. We saw this through his first term in the presidency, where he not only didn't start any new wars, he took action to de-escalate and prevent wars. 100% true. He didn't start any new wars, and he wanted to withdraw the troops back um, from Afghanistan, I think it was. And the thing is, the only reason it took so long was because the Democrats were just kept on stonewalling him. I remember this. Yeah, that's 100% true what you said, no lies. She credited this to his willingness to talk to adversaries and allies alike in the pursuit of peace. Yeah, when he was talking to yeah, because I think he was allied with Putin, but the thing is, Putin isn't like a warmonger, even though that's what the mainstream media wants you to think that he isn't. And I mean, and we know this because the thing is that there's video of him where he showed his own peace treaty, where he wanted the war in Ukraine stopped, and this was very early on, and he showed it to the press, and yeah, it was true. He wanted it stopped. The ones who put a stop to it were NATO, and when Biden went to go see Zelensky and told him that if you agree to this peace treaty, we're not going to give you any more weapons. So the reintroduction of these themes into Trump's campaign could provide the kindling for a reboot. Trump's campaign has more or less been on autopilot since Biden was still the Democrats' nominee, savaging the Democrats for being soft on crime and soft on the border while calling any Democratic proposal to tackle corporate behavior communism makes Trump's campaign indistinguishable from any thousands of other GOP campaigns that have been waged since the elevation of Ronald Reagan to the head of the party more than 40 years ago. Yeah, but the thing is, being soft on crime and soft on the border, what the hell's wrong with that? That's not a problem. That's pretty much what people want. But pushing back on America's endless wars is a tactic that could move more swing voters into Trump's camp. That's what. Wait a minute. That's what Trump wanted to do in his first term. He wanted to put a stop to these. He wanted to put a stop to these wars, and he didn't start new wars whatsoever. That's what happened in 2016. So I don't understand why I don't understand half some of what this article's talking about. I don't understand it. The year after the election took place, I wrote a piece on a study that found that swing state regions of the US that had a high number of casualties in the Afghanistan war shifted towards Trump over Clinton. Trump's anti-war campaign appeared to pay off. The researchers theorized that without this shift, he would not have won the election. This year is a little different. America does not have a substantial number of troops deployed in any overseas war, but we are spending what appears to be endless billions on supporting two major wars overseas. It's still the same. It's not really that far. It's not really that far off between the two, and depending if you send troops or send or just printing endless money non-stop, because the more money they print, Paul Paul Stone was talking about this. The more money they keep on printing, and then basically the dollar just ends up becoming less and less and less as far as the worth of it goes. He was talking about this on a Jimmy Dore video. It was like really interesting. It was like, yeah, that's pretty much how they're paying for all of this, and it's obviously tanking the economy as well. Um, Trump has an opportunity here, guided by voices like RKF Jr. and Gabbard. He could make a new pitch to Americans. It would go something like this. For years, people in both parties have told you that America benefits when we send billions and billions of dollars overseas to fight other people's wars. As thousands perish and our money goes up in flames, our leaders have abandoned diplomacy. When I'm president, I'll have a simple mission. I'll stop the killing, and I'll bring that money home so that we could spend it on our veterans, our schools, our roads, and our people. I remember when he was asked in a CNN. I can't remember if this is an interview or this was the start of his campaign, and he was asked about I think about the war on Ukraine, I think, and he gave a great answer, which no one else has which no one else said, and he just says, "I just want the bloodshed to stop," which is not only a sensible answer but a great answer, a great diplomatic answer in my opinion. Um, the Trump campaign could dedicate significant spending on anti-war messaging across the airwaves, producing ads that talk about ending overseas wars and redirecting resources to America's shores. This would tie directly into Trump's America's first motive. It would also elicit howls of protest from hawks in both parties. I'm sure that there's already are protesters. There already are. Crucially, it would once again position Trump as a populist candidate, and it would give us something he sorely lacks: a justification for his candidacy. If anything, I think Trump was um, I think Trump should have been more harder on the press before when they gave him a bad time. I think he was too soft on the mainstream media. To be honest, um, every time he talked to the press when he was president, I honestly think he should be more harder on them because they're nothing but arseholes. After all, Americans don't want a ruder version of Mitt Romney. He's not a ruder version of Mitt Romney. I don't understand what they mean by this, which is what the Trump campaign has come across as since Harris became the Democratic nominee. Now, I disagree with that. Trump's only chance of winning this race is by remembering why he eked out a victory in 2016 that almost nobody saw coming. He campaigned as an alternative to the status quo, but he is the alternative to the status quo. That's the point. Don't want me look at that assassination attempt on him. No, me that tells you all you need to know. Someone someone who was going to walk up to the establishment and punch it in the face. RFK Jr. and Gabbard, with all their flaws, provide him with the chance to becoming that candidate again. The only reason I'll tell you the reason why RFK Jr. and Gabbard are endorsing Trump, because they know Trump. Because the thing is, Trump has less faults compared to Kamala Harris. He has far less, and the majority of American voters would rather have him, and it's showing in the polls. Um, anyway, thanks for watching this video, and please like, comment, and subscribe on this video. And if you could follow me on X and subscribe on YouTube, Rumble, Odyssey, TikTok, and BitChute as well, if you don't mind, please. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you soon.